Have you discarded them because they rusted and oxidized? How much perfectly good toilet paper have you wasted because you were ignorant? Fortunately, if you do something right now, that can change. Let's imagine that you just got home from the grocery shop. Both fresh and chilled goods are contained in the bags. If you're a type personality, you probably go up to your empty refrigerator and begin tossing your food inside without any kind of planning. If you were a type B, however, you could have taken a moment to consider the circumstances and consider how to effectively share your food. Whichever scenario you fall into, I bet you've been keeping some necessary daily goods very wrongly stored. Consider eggs. We are accustomed to receiving them in their tiny carton packages, attractively arranged, ready to be picked up one by one and placed in the fridge's door-mounted deck compartment. However, have you ever considered whether or not it is actually the greatest location to store your eggs? It turns out that it's not the best location for them after all. A refrigerator's door, which is continually being opened and closed, is one of the warmest portions of the appliance, lowering the overall quality of the eggs. There is a right way to arrange foods in the refrigerator, claims specialists in food safety. Your food safety is mostly dependent on refrigeration. Always check the temperature in the areas where you store food if you want to keep it fresh. The ideal temperature for kitchen cabinets is between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And the freezer shouldn't register anything higher than 0 degrees Fahrenheit, while the fridge ought to be about 37 degrees. From the lowest temperature on the higher shelves to the greatest cooking temperature on the bottom shelves, arrange your refrigerated foods in order of cooking temperature. Place foods that require little to no cooking or are ready to eat on the bottom shelf of the refrigerator. After that, arrange the remaining shelves according to cooking temperature. In this case, as they cook between 145 and 155 degrees Fahrenheit, eggs would belong on the third or fourth shelf. If you like carbohydrates, you've probably lost several packages of bread in the past. They are infamous for having extremely short expiration dates and for the colonies of mold that seem to materialize out of nowhere and cause us to discard perfectly delicious loaves of bread. Here's some good news, though. Contrary to eggs and milk, there is a technique to keep a loaf of bread fresh for weeks or even months, and the refrigerator is not the place to do it. Separate the bread slices instead, then put them in a plastic bag. Remove all of the air from the bag before closing it. Make sure to leave as little air in the bag as you can. That is what will create a safe storage space for it. Now, your bread can survive up to 3 months if you store it in freezer-safe sealed plastic containers. What about pickle jars and other jars of culinary condiments? Store them upside down to extend their shelf life, because doing so will stop mold from growing. You can indeed keep these ones on your refrigerator's door. There is nothing wrong with that. Try this out before we leave the kitchen. Every time you purchase a new non-stick pan, season it first before using it to cook anything. You must first apply oil on your pan's edges before setting it on the heat for around 60 seconds. Remove the pan from the stove, let it to cool, and then allow it to absorb the heat. Wipe away any extra oil. There you have it, then. Up this manner, the oil will fill in any tiny holes or pores in the pan and level off the surface. The pan can now withstand exposure to high temperatures without being harmed. Let's now discuss bathroom accessories. One of the most wasted home goods is without a doubt toilet paper. With the exception of the age-old debate about where to put the toilet paper, we don't really do much to change the way we approach it, even if we are aware of it. Just to fill you in case you weren't aware of this before, there's a lesser-known must-do habit that we frequently disregard. Science has long argued about whether it is more proper to hang the roll with the loose end inside next to the wall or hung over the top. And even though I suspect many people in this room already know the solution. Please begin the drum roll. Well, you're correct. If you guessed with the top hanging loose end, this is the case for the straightforward reason that doing so makes it simpler to access the paper's loose hanging end and reduces the chance of germs gathering on knuckles while touching the wall. However, toilet paper innovation doesn't stop here. Did you know that you should squeeze your rolls of toilet paper before hanging them up in the bathroom? When I say squish, I mean to put them down horizontally and squeeze them with my hand until their aspheric centers become circular, in almost flat form. You should try to flatten your toilet paper. And no, I'm not crazy. That took place in the past. This technique is used to prevent toilet paper from rotating when it is hung in its more typical, circular shape. Depending on how hard we pull the toilet paper, it turns too easily, allowing people to enjoy it indefinitely and effortlessly. We'll wind up with twice as much or 3 times as much paper as we originally required. And yes, we could simply roll the extra paper back, but I guess most of us don't do so, resulting in the waste of large amounts of paper. I assume you got the point. More controlled rotation is oats from oval-shaped paper, which reduces toilet paper waste. So, there you go. Razor blades are on hand. You might want to listen to this one if you're the kind that never stops buying razor blades because the last one you bought 5 days ago is already rusty from the humidity in your bathroom. It is untrue that razor blades only last a limited time. We only need to know how to handle them so that they'll last longer in our bathroom cabinets, which they can and should. Now, you don't need to be an expert to understand that razor blade steel doesn't perform well in a warm, moist environment. To begin with, dry them off after each use, especially if you just use them in the shower. After that, keep them in a dry, cool place, possibly even outside of the restroom. This will undoubtedly extend their lifespan. Using a rusty blade can cause bacterial or fungal infections, which is particularly dangerous for your skin. So leaving the blade face down in a pool of shower water is definitely not a good idea. Do remember that. Some people might return to their beds after that delightful shower. If it's almost time for bed, they might even choose to light that aesthetically beautiful night's end candle and take advantage of its nice scent of warm vanilla and white musk. But if your candle is burning too quickly, try these tips to see if you can extend its life. Your candle wick can be repeatedly trimmed as long as you keep it moist and as far away from water as you can. It will ensure that your candle's wax remains stable and strong, allowing it to burn more slowly over time. A final word of advice: never discard the candle's jar after it has been burned out. Let's say your candle has burned all the way down. Congratulations. Bring some water to a boil, then wash the recipient in warm water and detergent. Reuse the jar after cleaning out the residual wax. A succulent plant can be used as an art supply or for whatever else takes your fancy. There you have it, then. In your daily life, small adjustments and habits can make a big difference. Check them out, please. And tell us which one you like to try out in the comments section below. We'll see how well my attempt to make candles from toilet paper turns out.